Welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to master one of the most critical decisions modern business leaders face: how to identify foundational generative AI concepts and, more importantly, how to select the exact right generative AI solution to meet your specific business needs. Let's get started. Let's begin with the absolute foundation. What is generative AI? Look at the first bullet. Traditional AI was built to analyze data and make predictions, like forecasting sales or flagging spam. Generative AI represents a massive paradigm shift. It actually generates net new content based on your instructions. Moving to the basics, it uses foundation models, like large language models, which are pre-trained on vast amounts of data. This is why you don't need a team of data scientists to build a model from scratch. Why does this matter for your business? Because it lowers the barrier to entry. You interact with it using plain English or prompts. How does it work? You provide context, and it uses semantic relationships to reason over your request and generate an output. The deep dive here is understanding that generative AI isn't just a calculator, it's a reasoning engine. It shifts your IT focus from complex coding to integrating AI assistants that actually augment your team's daily workflows. Let's look at this diagram to visually anchor the difference between traditional and generative AI. On the left side, you see the traditional AI workflow. You input structured data, the machine learning model processes it, and it outputs a rigid prediction or a classification. It is highly analytical but heavily constrained. Now, follow the flow on the right side, representing the generative AI workflow. Here, the input isn't just rows of a spreadsheet, it is a natural language prompt. This prompt feeds directly into a pre-trained foundation model, such as GPT-4. Because this model understands intricate semantic relationships, the output is entirely new: original content in email draft, a synthesized report, or functional code. This flowchart makes it incredibly clear. We are moving from simple pattern recognition to actual content creation. As a business leader, understanding this architectural shift is your very first step before you can select a solution. Now that we know what generative AI is, why should your business adopt it? You must start by mapping your specific business needs to AI capabilities. As you see in the definition, AI is only valuable when it solves real problems. For the basics, look at your operations. Where are your document-heavy, data-heavy, or meeting-heavy processes? These are prime targets for automation. Why? Because generative AI excels at reducing manual repetition, allowing your experts to focus on high-value strategy. How do you do this? You start with the problem, not the technology. Define your KPIs. Are you trying to reduce customer wait times or cut content production costs? Once you know the goal, you can select the right tool. The deep dive here is portfolio management. Don't just try one massive AI overhaul. Balance your portfolio with quick wins, like using AI to summarize meetings, alongside long-term strategic bets. This minimizes risk while proving immediate ROI. Let's walk through this mind map to understand how we map a business need directly to a measurable outcome. Everything starts on the left at identify business need. From there, we branch into the three most common organizational bottlenecks: document-heavy, data-heavy, and meeting-heavy processes. Follow the top path. If you have a document-heavy process, the AI capability you need is drafting and summarization. If you follow the middle path for data-heavy tasks, you apply AI for forecasting and analysis. And for the bottom path, meeting-heavy cultures benefit from automatic action item extraction. Notice how all three of these distinct capabilities converge on the right side at measurable ROI. This diagram illustrates that you shouldn't adopt AI just for the sake of having AI. You identify the friction point, apply the specific generative capability that relieves that friction, and drive directly toward a quantifiable business result. Once you know your business need, how do you choose the right AI model? Our third slide covers the basics of model selection. By definition, selecting the right model means matching the AI's architecture to your specific data type. The basics are straightforward. Large language models, or LLMs, are your go-to for text. Diffusion models generate images. Code models write software. Why is this critical? Because using a massive, expensive multimodal model for a simple text summarization task wastes money and increases latency. How do you choose? Look at the output you need. If your marketing team needs ad copy, an LLM is perfect. If they need campaign visuals, you need a diffusion model. For our deep dive, we look at the cutting-edge, multimodal models. These can process audio, text, and images all at once. Furthermore, if you are in a highly regulated industry like healthcare or finance, you might select domain-specific models that are fine-tuned to understand your industry's unique jargon and compliance standards. This decision tree is your cheat sheet for model selection. Start at the top. What is your primary output? This is the most important question you must ask. Depending on your answer, you follow the respective path. If your goal is generating text or handling conversations, you move left to large language models like GPT-4. If you need images for a marketing campaign, you follow the path to diffusion models like DALL-E 3. If your engineering team needs help, you route to code models. And if you are building a complex assistant that needs to see images and output text, you route to multimodal models. This diagram reinforces a key lesson. There is no single best AI model. The best model is entirely dependent on the specific task you are trying to accomplish. Selecting the right node on this chart ensures you optimize for both performance and cost. We've selected our model type. Now, how do we deploy it? Slide 4 introduces the buy, extend, or build framework. This is the definition of your deployment strategy. The basics. Buy means purchasing a ready-to-use SaaS product like Microsoft 365 Copilot. Extend means using low-code tools like Copilot Studio to connect AI to your internal databases. Build means creating a custom solution from scratch using Azure AI. Why use this framework? Because it perfectly balances your need for speed against your need for customization. How do you apply it? If you just want your team to draft emails faster, buy it. If you want a chatbot that queries your specific HR policies, extend it. If you are creating a proprietary customer-facing app, build it. The deep dive here is cost and talent. Buying gives you predictable monthly subscription costs and requires no developers. Building involves token-based consumption billing, requires managing cloud infrastructure, and necessitates highly skilled developers. Let's trace this decision matrix from left to right. You start by assessing the complexity of your workflow. The first major fork in the road asks, is this a standard office task? If yes, you follow the top path to buy. You deploy Microsoft 365 Copilot, enjoy predictable costs, and achieve the fastest ROI. But if your workflow is unique, you move to the next decision point. Do you need custom data integration? If you just need to connect a bot to your CRM using low-code, you extend using Copilot Studio. If you need complete control over the model, the user interface, and the orchestration, you choose to build using Azure AI Studio. Notice the dotted lines. Buying and extending lead to fast ROI, while building leads to high market differentiation, but relies on token-based billing. This flowchart ensures your deployment strategy aligns perfectly with your technical resources and business goals. Slide 5 tackles the biggest risk in generative AI, hallucinations. To solve this, we use grounding and RAG. By definition, grounding anchors the AI's response to your trusted enterprise data. The basics of RG, or retrieval-augmented generation, are simple. Before the AI answers a user, it searches your internal databases for facts, then uses those facts to write the response. Why is this mandatory? Because LLMs are predictive text engines. Without facts, they will guess, leading to fabricated information. How do you implement it? You connect your AI to Microsoft Graph or Azure AI Search. The system retrieves your PDFs, emails, and databases automatically. The deep dive here connects accuracy to security. RAG doesn't just make the AI smarter, it respects your existing security boundaries. The AI will only retrieve documents that the specific user has the credentials to access. This is absolutely essential for compliance in regulated industries. This sequence diagram beautifully illustrates the retrieval-augmented generation, or RAG, process. Let's follow the steps chronologically. In step 1, the user asks a question. Instead of sending that question straight to the AI, it goes to an orchestrator. In step 2, the orchestrator securely searches your enterprise data. In step 3, your database returns the verified facts. Now, in step 4, the orchestrator packages the original question and the verified facts, sending them together to the large language model. The LLM processes this package in step 5, generating a response that is strictly bound by your data. Finally, in step 6, the user receives an accurate answer, complete with citations pointing back to the original files. This visualization shows exactly how we insert a layer of factual retrieval between the user and the AI model, entirely eliminating the risk of ungrounded hallucinations. On slide 6, we address the financial reality, managing the cost drivers of generative AI. By definition, this is about aligning your AI adoption with your budget to maximize ROI. The basics come down to two models, subscription-based and consumption-based. Why must you understand this? Because unlike traditional software, custom AI workloads scale dynamically. If your custom chatbot goes viral, your costs will skyrocket if unmanaged. How do you handle this? You use predictable subscriptions, like Microsoft 365 Copilot, for your workforce. You use consumption billing, like Azure AI, when you want to pay only for the exact compute you use. For the deep dive, let's talk about tokens. In consumption models, you aren't billed per user, you are billed per token. A token is a fragment of a word. You pay for the tokens in your prompt, and the tokens the AI generates. Understanding token economics is vital when selecting a build solution. Let's break down the economics using this flowchart. At the top, we have our Gen AI cost drivers. This immediately splits into two distinct financial models. On the left is the SaaS route, representing Copilot. Follow this path, it leads to a fixed monthly subscription and zero infrastructure management. This converges perfectly into a predictable budget. If financial certainty is your goal, this is your path. Now look at the right side, the PaaS route, representing Azure AI. Here, you encounter pay-as-you-go token billing and infrastructure and compute costs. This converges into dynamic scaling. You pay for exactly what you use, which is incredibly flexible for testing and scaling, but requires strict monitoring to avoid budget overruns. This diagram proves that selecting an AI solution isn't just a technical decision, it is a fundamental financial strategy. Slide 7 focuses on an absolute necessity, responsible AI and governance. By definition, this is the framework that ensures your AI is safe, ethical, and secure. The basics are rooted in 6 principles, including fairness, privacy, and transparency. Why is this a board-level issue? Because deploying AI without governance exposes you to data leakage, systemic bias, and severe regulatory fines. How do you govern effectively? You enforce strict access controls so AI only reads what it is allowed to read, and you implement robust content safety filters to block malicious attacks. The deep dive here involves proactive defense. You must deploy tools like Azure AI Content Safety to constantly monitor for jailbreak attacks, where users try to trick the AI into breaking the rules. Governance isn't a roadblock, it is the seatbelt that allows your business to drive AI innovation at top speed safely. This diagram illustrates how an AI governance framework is operationalized. Starting at the top, the framework delegates into 3 core pillars: data security, content safety, and compliance. Under data security, we enforce role-based access control and encryption, ensuring data privacy. Under content safety, the system actively blocks prompt injections and filters out toxic content, ensuring the AI behaves ethically. Under compliance, we maintain meticulous audit logging and provide citations for transparency, ensuring you meet regulatory standards. Notice how all these individual technical controls flow downward and converge into a single, ultimate goal: trustworthy enterprise AI. This visual demonstrates that responsibility isn't just an abstract concept, it is engineered directly into the architecture of your generative AI solution. For our final slide, let's tie everything together with a highly important, real-time use case. Imagine a global retailer. The business need is clear: they must generate localized marketing copy for 20 international markets. The basics of the problem: manual translation and writing take weeks, delaying launches and costing millions. Why use AI here? Because it solves the speed and scale problem simultaneously. How do they select the solution? They use a hybrid approach. First, they build a high-volume generation engine using Azure OpenAI to rapidly translate and draft descriptions across 20 languages using product data. Then, they buy Microsoft 365 Copilot for their marketing team. The deep dive is the synergy. Azure AI handles the massive, automated data processing at the API level. Then, human marketers open Microsoft Word, use Copilot to review, refine, and perfect the brand voice. They selected the exact right combination of generative AI tools to slash time to market from weeks to hours. Let's walk through this real-world architecture from left to right. It begins at the product database, which holds raw specs. This data flows into the Blue Node, the custom-built Azure OpenAI engine. This is the build phase, doing the heavy computation to generate drafts in 20 different languages instantly. Those drafts move to the green node, Copilot in Word. This represents the buy phase, where the technology meets the human worker. The marketer uses Copilot to refine the brand voice. This is the critical human-in-the-loop step, ensuring quality and safety. Finally, the perfected copy flows to the end state, publishing to global markets. This diagram perfectly encapsulates our entire training. By correctly identifying the business need, selecting the right mix of PaaS and SaaS generative AI solutions, and keeping humans in control, the organization achieves massive, scalable business value.